In recent years, there's been a little bit of a movement in California and across the nation in terms of what does it mean to have artists at the table making community decisions and solving community issues. Artists are naturally problem solvers. They expose issues and bring to the fore solutions that are incomparably expressed. We're state-local partner under California Arts Council for the County of Nevada. And for this project, Upstate California Creative Corps, we're also the administering organization for the state, serving 19 counties across Northern California.
Just our square mileage alone, we're almost 30% of California's geography. So it's not just the scale and the size of the upstate. There's a huge amount of geographic diversity. We have areas that receive 14 inches of rainfall a year, others that get 95 inches, sea level to over 14,000-foot mountain.
The essence of the Creative Corps is to put artists to work in service of issues that are most critical to society. There are 4 overarching program goals: social justice, public health, addressing environmental issues, and civic engagement.
One thing that really stood out to us was that so many of these issues spanned multiple counties, and many of them followed watersheds, but even broader than watersheds. So we looked at the opportunity to create grants that would meet local community needs and the issues that were really important to them, but also gave the opportunity to look from a broader perspective as well.
We have incredible linguistic diversity amongst the artists and culture bearers on our 80 project teams. We have 22 languages spoken on all of those project teams, and we have 32 different tribes represented.
My name is Danielle Frank. I am from the Hoopa villages of Met-Dildon and Sewanalden, located along the Trinity River, and the Yurok village of Watek, located along the confluence of the Klamath and Trinity Rivers.
One of the most important things about Tribal Waters is this kind of recreational component to teach indigenous kids the sport of whitewater kayaking. The second is trying to give kids the tools they need for filmmaking.
I'm really excited to share the importance and sacredness around storytelling and encourage more people to be involved in that, to learn stories and share them with one another.
My name is Laura Fillmore, and I'm an artist and an educator. I came to Washougal Homelands 35 years ago with my husband Benny, and so I married into the tribe. Stewarding knowledges is kind of how we refer to this project, and that means all of our land, let's make it right with our hands together.
Future Gardens follow a metaphor that says every place is the story of its own becoming. That is, every place has been wetter, drier, hotter, warmer, colder than today. And so part of thinking about the future actually has to be a deep interrogation of the past, as well as an understanding of what future climates can be and some kind of thinking of what that might mean.
There's 4 people on the team who are public artists, a storyteller and a landscape architect.
So what we have today is we have a small crafts fair of traditional artisan crafts, some baskets and musical instruments. One of the tables, you can actually take a map of the Tahoe watershed and paint your vision of the future of Lake Tahoe on one side and then write some of your ideas, which we'll be collecting and sharing down the road.
My name is Brenda Montaño, and I am a core organizer with Seeds of Ancestral Renewal, and our project is called Circles of Care. We've had a series of bilingual wellness gatherings that have focused on different topics, and this last one is focused on cultural expression and rooted in fiber indigenous arts. The relationship that we've been able to build as SOAR and the promotoras, to me, feels so incredible and radical. It feels like the birth of a coalition of BIPOC care workers in Siskiyou County. It's been so beautiful to just witness their power and witness their brilliance as an intergenerational group, because they have the grandmothers, the mothers, and the daughters all in the same space.
So my daughter's here today, my mom was here last time. The first session, it was both of us to honor my mom's way of how she was raised and how her child stories were compared to how my daughter's is, and now seeing me in the center, I feel like it's brought us all together, and I think that's one of the main visions of them, was to bring us together as one. I was raised in this country, and so I lost my culture. And so I learned a lot about myself, and I felt so connected to my grandma and my mom, and it helped me break that, I guess, like that barrier, you know, making that uncomfortable space more comfortable.
So my name is Jen Procacci, and my project is the Round Valley Reader Past, Present, Future, and it is a year-long literary and journal endeavor here in Covelo that we do with the help of the community.
Covelo is a very rural community. It's very isolated in that you don't find your way here unless you are coming here because it's kind of off the beaten path.
When we were coming up with the concept for the Round Valley Reader, we wanted to make sure that our project touched on as many of the parts of our community as possible that are vibrant and contributing to the community's identity. And in a town where things are very slow, people have really appreciated that consistency and the regular availability of the news.
Our angle is always like, okay, what work are people doing to try and address this, and what positive actions can be made? We publish a present day story, an archive from the past, because Covelo used to have a lot of different newspapers throughout its history, and then a speculative piece where we take ideas from the community and try to imagine what Covelo could be in the future.
During the pandemic, our community became very isolated from one another. So by distributing it only in person at the farmers market, we were hoping to encourage folks to come back together, mingle, engage with us, engage with one another. And after the farmers market is over, we take the extra copies to the public library. So folks that can't make it to the farmers market can always pick up a free copy there.
Butte County is a rural community located in Northern California and has a really good mix of diverse communities, communities that represent the ag work that happens out here, communities that are English learners. We have those that identify as Black, as Indigenous. We just have a beautiful landscape of community members. The goal of this project really was to amplify unheard voices, voices that aren't often invited to the table. And so through that, we were able to bring together Black-owned businesses, BIPOC businesses, artists, and create a place to foster a relationship between the two sectors where there hasn't really been crossover. The app that we are working on is primarily focused on highlighting BIPOC business owners and BIPOC artists. While people are in our community, they'll be notified if they're approaching a Black-owned business. And then the additional part was creating a digital piece to share the information that's on the app as well as amplify the work of the artists. So we created the Black Source magazine. It's just a beautiful compilation of writers, resources, artists, and we're super excited about the project and we hope to create more issues.
Quincy is in Plumas County, which is a pretty small county population-wise, but a huge county size-wise. All of the towns are separated by these mountain highways. This project we've decided to call Cultivate because it's an agricultural term, but also because something that Lost Sierra Food Project has been working on this year is trying to cultivate relationships with people outside of Quincy.
The artist residency was shown at 4 different places.
We had the art on display and then had different kinds of interactive surveys to gauge community interest and also see what people were already working on and see what ideas they had and then see how Lost Sierra Food Project could support that.
Today we're having a natural dye workshop on how to use food scraps to natural dye. We're going to be using eco-printing and dye bath methods. So it's a great opportunity to bring people out to the farm. I really feel like just going out there is a great way to connect and to make people want to invest in food systems.
Farmers in our area aren't adequately supported to produce food for our community, and when they do, that food is really expensive. So there are all these kinds of barriers that keep people from getting fresh produce that we really want to address as both a public health concern, but also as an environmental concern. Seeing how impactful it is to have these creative, expressive workshops for community members that are on the farm and bring people there, it's actually easier to see how art is really tied to farming and to any community space.
Well, I'm Christine McShane and I'm the lead artist in the Labels project. We work with the homeless people here in Butte County, and we did art projects, writing projects, and filmed a documentary. Where Chico is located is sort of on a roadway for a lot of transient people to start with. We had the campfire in 2018, and just in one night you had 25,000 people who were essentially homeless. The whole thing of making labels is that we make assumptions about people just based on what we bring to what we see. So the idea was you would go around and try to figure out who belonged to which of the bios, and most people didn't do very well. I wanted to be able to have people just relax and play these silly games, but at the end of the game, there it is again, they'd be making assumptions all the way along. Once we had done the exhibit here and it had done its time here, I then took the exhibit part and put it into the municipal buildings downtown and sort of wanted to be sure that the city officials had an opportunity to see it.
My name is Carrie Fershad and I'm the Executive Director at the Job Training Center. Tehama County is a county located in Northern California. It is kind of plagued by health and economic issues. I was really intrigued by how art can help a community become healthier and move a community forward in an intentional way, but also in a new, innovative, creative way. The project spans 3 cities, 2 counties, and we have approximately 20 artists and 4 nonprofits. All of the public mural projects have been designed and installed by local artists and youth. We wanted them to center around community and getting outside and really becoming a part of your community, that your voice and what you believe should be on the walls actually should be on the walls.
One of the big things that we did was my partner and I walked around
the whole town, I rolled, and viewed all what was accessible, what wasn't, and labeled it so that people can come in informed and that we can also create a conversation with the city.
I'm a tattoo artist out of Orland, California. Been tattooing for 14 years now professionally, but I've been doing art my whole life. There was a little bit of apprehension moving along with an arts council here in our county. I had a proven record of getting things done when it came to artwork and then networking, you know, talking to the right people and making sure I wasn't just doing things on my own, and I wanted to include everybody. So once they saw that, it gave them more confidence to move forward.
So I specialize in a form of theater called Buffon that is grotesque satire. Cultures throughout time and the world often have a fool or a healer, a provocateur of some sort who looks at this society and is able to, through comedy and tragedy, provide some insight about some of the foibles of the society in the hopes that that society can come to terms with some difficult issues that they might be facing and find ways to move forward through that trauma. The art that I created reflects the views of the folks that I talked to. One of those interviews was with Greg Gusti, a well-renowned biologist. He talked about how bark beetles are actually loving climate change. That's how this came about. This contraption that's traveling through these different areas, and inside of it is a menagerie of forest critters that are coming into the town square to play out what they see from their vantage point.
It is hard to live in such a remote area, but we do incredible things here.
I think a lot of people in rural communities feel particularly left out or disenfranchised. I think there's an ethic here of community that's lacking in other places that I think is pretty apparent in the art itself. We care about each other because we're literally dependent on each other during, you know, the harsh winter or during a fire.
We are solution-oriented people. We've been here forever, and that's for a reason. This is the only place in the world that I know how to fix, and projects like this give me the resources to do so.
I see the Creative Corps being a tool to help people see themselves.
The Black Source has been a very important project here in Butte County in that it connects us, we collaborate with one another, there's great leadership.
I think right now, with the way things are going, bringing art to communities is a way for people to have catharsis through the conversations and dialogues.
I think through art, you can create empathy. I feel like Native kids getting out on the river and enjoying their ancestral waterways, I would hope that's something we can all get behind, regardless of what your politics are.
There's tactics from 20, 30 years ago, and most of them don't work, and we've had to go to a new toolbox. And I just see this as an interesting opportunity to address problems that are bigger than all of us.
The role of the artist is to be creative, to be inspiring, provocative, change maker. 88% of our grantees are first-time recipient of state funds, so we've really been able to distribute resources to communities that have never before had this level of support. They are testing the boundaries, they are proposing solutions, and they are talking to the right people who could then implement those solutions.
We really need to bring resources for continuity, to continue these projects, to continue these relationships, to continue this level of problem solving that's locally based but globally scaled.
The creative industry is a powerful force, and it sets California apart in the world. And I'm excited about people and projects that use art to unlock human beings' lives and potential and truly equip a workforce for an economy that doesn't need anything but creativity.
And I think in rural spaces particularly, we've forgotten that throughout history, for tens of thousands of years, artists have been employed by governments to be agents of change, to be agents for the benefit of society, for the good of all. Let's remember in rural California the place that artists have.